If you've seen Squid Game, you know the players aren't the only ones breaking rules. From ruthless VIPs to violent gangsters, drugged up psychos to corrupt guards, some of these people make the games look tame. But what if the law stepped in? Let's find out, starting with the VIPs. The VIPs show up dressed like kings, lounging around in gold masks while regular people are dying right in front of them. But it doesn't stop there. They've got servants acting like furniture, standing still, silent, and clearly not there by choice. This isn't just rich people watching a show. This is something much darker.
저기요, 제가 1번 하면 안 돼요. 난 눈치만 보고 살았어요. 저처럼 살아본 적이 없어요. 또 끝에는 제일 부탁합니다.
Oh, it's really not your day, is it? Motherfucker.
Here's the thing. If you're watching people get murdered for fun, you're not just an observer. You're part of it. That makes the VIPs guilty of mass murder. And the people forced to serve them like objects, that's slavery. Plain and simple. Combine that with the fact that hundreds were kidnapped and locked away just so they could have a little fun. And this crosses every legal line imaginable. If caught, the VIPs would face the death sentence for mass murder, plus 3 life sentences for mass kidnapping, false imprisonment, and slavery. And they're just getting started. One of the VIPs takes things to a whole new level of creepy. He calls over Junho, who's disguised as a waiter, and demands he take off his mask. Junho tries to stay undercover and tells him that removing it would get him killed, but the VIP doesn't care. Instead, he leans in and says if Junho doesn't obey, he'll kill him himself.
Take that mask off. Take your mask off.
We can't show our faces in here.
You're all mine.
But after you leave, they will kill me.
If you don't do what I say, I will kill you before I leave.
That's not just an awkward interaction, that's a criminal threat. Threatening someone's life, even in a private room, is a serious offense. The law doesn't care if you're rich or wearing a gold animal mask. If caught, this VIP would be facing 3 years in prison. And he's lucky that's all, because things only get worse from here. The VIP doesn't stop at threats. He takes Junho into another room, completely alone, and tried to force himself on him. He tries to make Junho engage in sexual acts, using his power, position, and threats to get what he wants. It's disturbing, abusive, and completely illegal. Forcing someone into sexual activity, even without physical violence, is still abuse, and using threats or pressure to make it happen, that's coercion. In the eyes of the law, both are serious crimes. If caught, the VIP would face 5 years in prison for coercion and another year for sexual abuse. That's 6 years behind bars. And honestly, he got off easy. As we close the VIP's chapter, it's clear their crimes are as twisted as the games they watched. For sponsoring mass murder, they're facing the death sentence. Add 3 life sentences for mass kidnapping, false imprisonment, and slavery, and they're already buried in time. One of them adds 3 more years for criminal threats, and also racks up 6 years for coercion and sexual abuse. But the madness doesn't end here, because the next player is about to step into the courtroom, Namgyu. Namgyu and his buddy Thanos weren't happy about losing money in crypto. So who do they blame? Not themselves, but a YouTuber named Myunggi who gave them the advice they followed. Instead of moving on, they decide to bully him non-stop, confronting him in public and making threats like it's all his fault.
그래도 이 새끼 그 코인 때문에 날린 것만 5억이 넘어. 임 잘해서.
쓰니까 좀 비켜줄래? 씨발 먹는 건 존나 싫은데.
먹고 싶어?
Here's the thing, following bad advice doesn't give you the right to harass someone. What they're doing counts as intimidation, and the law takes that seriously. You can't just scare or threaten someone because your investment didn't work out. If caught, both Namgyu would be looking at 1 year in prison. And with tempers flaring, this probably isn't the last time he crosses the line. Right after the confrontation, Namgyu starts spiraling. He turns to Thanos and says he's going to get overwhelmed if he doesn't get high. Then without hesitation, he takes illegal drugs from him. Right there, no shame, no second thoughts.
했던 거 그 십자가
I don't know what the fuck I talked to him.
하면 이제 다 죽어.
내 남수야.
케타민? 형, MD 할 때 진짜 앵간한 건 다 제가 약 넣어본 적. 뭐라 했지?
Using illegal substances is still a crime, no matter how stressed you are. Saying you're overwhelmed isn't a free pass to break the law. Taking drugs like that can lead to fines, arrest, and a whole new set of problems. If caught, Namgyu would be facing a 1,001 fine. It's a small penalty, but it's one more strike on his growing record, and things could get worse from here. During the crucial voting round, Namgyu doesn't let things play out fairly. Instead, he corners player 048 and pressures him to vote to continue the game. It's not persuasion, it's force, and in a situation this serious, that crosses the line.
배신하지 마.
48번.
Forcing someone to vote a certain way, especially under pressure in a life or death game, is coercion. It doesn't matter if it's just a vote. If you take away someone's free will, the law steps in. If caught, Namgyu would be looking at 5 years in prison. But his crime doesn't stop here. Namgyu and Thanos corner another player in the bathroom, getting in his face and scaring him just for the fun of it. Classic intimidation move.
I'm sorry, boy. 형을 배신하면 형 마음이 너무 아파.
너 어디네? 진짜로.
Oh, boy.
Following someone into a bathroom and threatening them? That's intimidation, plain and simple. Doesn't matter if it's part of a game, fear tactics like that are illegal. If caught, both Namgyu and Thanos would be looking at 1 year in prison. But Namgyu keeps stacking up his sentences. Things take a deadly turn when a fight breaks out in the bathroom. Namgyu doesn't try to escape or defend himself. He grabs a fork and stabs another player. The blow is fatal. No hesitation, no second thoughts, just cold-blooded murder. Stabbing someone to death, even during a fight, isn't self-defense when you go that far. That's murder. And in the eyes of the law, that means one thing. If caught, Namgyu would be facing a life sentence. But it's far from over because Namgyu doesn't stop at one murder. Right after the bathroom fight, he returns to the dorm, sees Sammy standing alone, and without warning, he attacks her. The result? Another player dead at his hands. This wasn't defense, and it wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate attack with deadly intent. That makes it murder in the eyes of the law. If caught, Namgyu would be facing another life sentence. As we close Namgyu's chapter, it's clear he wasn't just another player. He was a walking crime spree. It started with intimidation, coercion, and drug use. Then came the real damage. 2 brutal murders that sealed his fate. With charges stacking up, 2 life sentences for murder, 6 years for coercion, 2 more years for intimidation, and a fine for drug use, Namgyu's never seeing daylight again. From threats to violence, every move he made dragged him deeper into darkness. But he's not the last one, because up next, someone else is about to face the law. Sae-byuk. Gi-hun isn't having a great day, and it gets worse fast. While stumbling through the crowd, he bumps into a mysterious girl. They both fall, but by the time he's back on his feet, his money is gone. Turns out, Sae-byuk had slick fingers and pickpocketed him during the fall, taking all 4 million won he had on him. Pickpocketing is still theft, no matter how smooth you are. Taking someone's money without permission is a criminal offense, even if the victim never sees it coming. If caught, Sae-byuk would be facing 6 months in prison and paying back the full amount, 4 million won, or about $2,128. But this isn't the last time she plays dirty. During the deadly game of red light, green light, Sae-byuk plays it risky, and not in a good way. Players are supposed to stay completely still, but she reaches forward and grabs Jang Deok-soo by the hair, threatening to move him. Then, just to make things worse, she shoves him to the ground before stepping forward herself.
아까부터 이런 쌍년이
동서?
하지 마 제발.
그러다 걸리면
Grabbing someone and pushing them like that, that's assault. Doesn't matter if it's during a game, it's still illegal physical contact. If caught, Sae-byuk would be looking at 3 months in prison, and something tells us she's just getting started. Sae-byuk meets with a broker, the man who's supposed to help bring her mother out of North Korea and get her brother out of the orphanage and then bring both of them to South Korea. But when he sees how desperate she is, he hikes the price up to 40 million won. That's when she snaps. She throws a pot of hot tea in his face, pulls out a knife, holds it to his throat, and while he's panicking, she reaches into his pocket and takes his cash.
니네 뭐 국경 경비가 살벌이고
그래서 얼만데?
4천 이상은 있어요. 돈으로
내 목숨 걸고 구한 돈이야.
들이 돈만 받고 나를 줄은
구해온다.
That's not just losing your temper. That's aggravated assault, intimidation, and theft all at once. The hot tea and knife make it a violent, dangerous attack, and taking his money while doing it, that only adds to the charges. If caught, Sae-byuk would be facing 10 years for aggravated assault, 1 year for intimidation, and a 1,001 fine for theft. As we close Sae-byuk's chapter, what started with a pickpocket turned into a pattern of violence. She racked up 6 months in prison for theft, 3 months for assault, 1 year for intimidation, and a 1,001 fine. But the biggest hit? 10 years behind bars for aggravated assault after attacking a broker with hot tea and a knife. Sae-byuk may have been fighting for her family, but the law doesn't turn a blind eye to threats, violence, and stolen cash. But the trials aren't over yet. Another player is stepping into the spotlight next, Mr. Kim along with his gang. Mr. Kim isn't your average loan shark. He's ruthless. He also doesn't work alone. He rolls deep with his gang. Together, they corner Gi-hun, who owes them money. But instead of a simple reminder, things get brutal fast. They chase him down, beat him up, and Mr. Kim threatens to kill him if he doesn't pay. And just when it seems like it can't get worse, they force Gi-hun to sign a contract saying if he can't pay, they get his organs.
아이고 지근하다. 코피가 왜 잘 그래? 한 사발 받아다가 오늘 여기 안 왜 싫어? 거기 나오네 자연. 한 달이야.
This isn't just illegal, it's straight up terrifying. Beating someone? That's assault. Threatening to kill them? Criminal threat. Forcing a contract like that? Coercion and extortion all the way. And because it wasn't just Mr. Kim, but his whole gang involved, every single one of them is on the hook. If caught, Mr. Kim and his gang would each be facing 10 years for extortion, 3 years for criminal threat, 3 years for assault, and 5 years for coercion. That's 21 years in prison for every member of the crew. And justice is only just getting started. After surviving the game, Gi-hun turns to someone he knows is dangerous, Mr. Kim. He hires him to track down the recruiter who got him into the Squid Game. Mr. Kim doesn't just take the job, he builds a whole team for it. They start meeting in secret, make a creepy doll to represent the recruiter, and begin plotting every step of the plan. This isn't just tracking someone down, it's a full-on conspiracy.
사람입니다. 아마 뭐 180도 넘을 겁니다. 되어 있고 서라고 딱을 붙잡고 이 딱지를 딱 보시면 됩니다.
자, 사진들 2호선. 2호차는 3, 4호선 도를 맞습니다. 하나를 슬쩍 건너뛰어서는 수색을 마친 역은 빵에 올립니다. 그래야 마지막으로 우와!
Planning an illegal mission with a group? That's conspiracy. And the law treats it just as seriously as the crime itself. Organizing meetings, building models, and forming a gang to carry it out? That's enough to land everyone involved in serious trouble. If caught, Mr. Kim and his gang would each be looking at 14 years in prison for conspiracy. And with everything they've already done, this only digs their hole deeper. When they finally spot the recruiter, Mr. Kim and his gang don't hold back. They immediately start stalking him. They follow him through the streets, tailing his every move, watching where he goes, who he meets, and never letting up. It's organized, it's obsessive, and it's completely illegal.
우리끼리요?
결혼했다고 몸살이냐?
홍 사장도 자기 올 때까지 기다리라 그래.
무서워. 10억이야.
5억 주는 거 맞죠?
Following someone like that without their consent, that's stalking. And when it's done by a group working together, it becomes even more serious. The law sees it as a major threat to personal safety and privacy. If caught, Mr. Kim and his gang would be facing 5 years in prison and a $250,000 fine each. And the closer they get to the recruiter, the closer they get to prison. Just as Junho finds Gi-hun next to the body of the recruiter and moves in to make an arrest, Mr. Kim shows up from behind and without warning, strikes the detective hard. It's a direct attack on a law enforcement officer doing his job.
경찰이다. 당신은 살인 용의자로 묵비권을 행사.
Hitting anyone is serious, but hitting a police officer during an arrest? That's aggravated assault. It's violent, deliberate, and the law doesn't take it lightly. If caught, Mr. Kim would be facing 10 years in prison for aggravated assault. And with this, Mr. Kim isn't just a gang leader anymore. He's officially at war with the law. Still hunting for the Squid Game's secret location, Mr. Kim and his gang follow a GPS signal they think will lead them there. But instead of the game, they find a confused fisherman and realize the GPS was hidden in a bag of fish food. Frustrated and furious, they all pull their guns and point them right at the man.
다니는 데가 아닌데. 샀어. 아저씨. 뭐 하시는 거 왜 그러세요? 이게 이 안에 왜 들어 있냐고.
Pulling a gun on someone, especially when they're innocent and unarmed, is no joke. That's aggravated assault. Threatening someone with a deadly weapon, even without pulling the trigger, is more than enough to land them behind bars. If caught, Mr. Kim and every gang member involved would be facing 10 years in prison for aggravated assault. As we close the case on Mr. Kim and his gang, the charges are stacked higher than their body count. It started with a violent debt collection, 21 years for extortion, coercion, threats, and assault. Then came the conspiracy, 14 more years for planning illegal operations, followed by 5 years and a $250,000 fine for stalking the recruiter. But it didn't stop there. Mr. Kim landed himself 10 more years for assaulting a police officer, and the whole gang picked up another 10 years each for pulling guns on an innocent man. In total, 60 years behind bars, plus heavy fines. And that's just what we know about. But the courtroom isn't closing yet, because someone else is about to face justice. No Eul. During red light, green light, No Eul shows no hesitation. She watches as player after player is gunned down, and she's the one behind the system. But it's not just automated killing. When one man finally crosses the finish line with help from another player, she still pulls the trigger. No sympathy, no second chances.
이제 네 뒤에 꼭 붙어 있어. 괜찮아요? 고맙습니다.
Overseeing the deaths of dozens of people in a game she helped run, that's not just cold, it's mass murder. And the law doesn't hand out light punishments for that kind of brutality. If caught, No Yul would be facing the death sentence for mass murder, and this is only her first move. After the game, the guards begin cleaning up the bodies. Some of the players are still alive, barely. The other guards plan to harvest their organs, but No Yul, she doesn't even wait. She opens each casket one by one and shoots the survivors herself, execution style. These weren't threats, and it wasn't mercy. It was cold-blooded murder. The players were helpless, and she pulled the trigger anyway. That makes her directly responsible. If caught, No Yul would be facing a life sentence for murder. As we close No Yul's chapter, from gunning down players during red light, green light, to personally executing the wounded during cleanup, her crimes are beyond brutal. For mass murder, she's facing the death sentence, and for murdering defenseless survivors, a life sentence on top of it. But we're not done yet, because someone else is about to take the stand. During the chaos of red light, green light, Thanos doesn't just try to survive, he turns deadly. As players around him scramble to stay still, he starts shoving them forward, knowing full well that movement means death. One by one, they get shot while he keeps moving ahead, using their bodies as shields. He didn't pull the trigger, but he made sure others got hit. Pushing people into danger with the clear intention to get them killed, that's mass murder. No matter how you spin it. If caught, Thanos would be facing the death sentence. And this wasn't a one-time lapse in judgment. Thanos had blood on his hands from the very start. Thanos and Namgyu went to Myung-gi, the YouTuber who gave them crypto advice that didn't pan out. At first, it's just words, reminding him of the money they lost. But things escalate fast. Thanos throws the first punch, and together, they beat him down without holding back.
Shit ton. Because of you and your... It was over 500 million won. You're gonna pay us what you owe. For such a skinny little bitch. Now, Thanos feed it to you personally.
Ganging up on someone and violently attacking them, that's aggravated assault. The law doesn't care if you're mad about money, you don't get to settle it with fists. If caught, Thanos would be facing 10 years in prison, and this won't be his last act of violence either. Thanos isn't just carrying drugs, he's hiding them in plain sight. Tucked inside a cross around his neck, he pulls one out and takes it himself. Then he casually hands another to Namgyu, offering it up.
The cross around your neck. I saw you. If I get nervous, I screw up the... Look, Namsu. You know what this is? Brand new, and it's fucking crazy. When I was a promoter, I did... Oh.
Carrying illegal drugs is already a big deal, but sharing them, that bumps it up to drug distribution, even if it's just one pill. If caught, Thanos would be facing 10 years in prison for possession, and another 5 years for distribution. Thanos doesn't let things go. When Myung-gi votes to leave the game, Thanos follows him straight into the bathroom and attacks him.
What were you gonna do with 70 million? I need that. Plus. Coin went up in value just like I said it would. Yo, should I just rip that shit-eating grin off? Here's what's gonna happen till I get what I need. And who knows? Back, you're free to go. And you... How do you memorize raps if you're so dense? Motherfucker! Why do I still have to poop?
Attacking someone over a vote, that's assault. If caught, Thanos would be looking at 3 months in prison. But he doesn't stop there. Later, during one of the games, Thanos and Namgyu, both high, start pushing people off the platform and hitting them like it's a joke. Doesn't matter if they were under the influence. Physical attacks during the game still count. That's assault again. If caught, Thanos would be facing another 3 months in prison. But then, Thanos follows a player who's on the fence about staying in the game. But instead of talking, he threatens him, pressuring him to vote in favor of continuing.
That shit really hurt my fucking feelings.
Nowhere to go out there, bro. Open that door! You're gonna press... Oh, Minsu, yo, come on!
Before I got here, things were so rough. This man wearing a suit. Now I'm not religious or anything, but that's when I decided I was gonna turn my whole life around. I'm so fucking angry, man!
That's intimidation. Forcing someone to make a decision through threats is illegal, plain and simple. If caught, Thanos would be facing 1 year in prison. But it doesn't stop there. Later, tensions explode. A full-on group fight breaks out in the bathroom, and Thanos sees red. He locks onto Myung-gi and starts strangling him, fully intending to end his life. Myung-gi only survives because he stabs Thanos and escapes.
He was walking kind of funny. A nerve. Oh, for sure, dude. Give it to that bitch, you fucking asshole! Fucking life!
Trying to kill someone with your bare hands? That's attempted murder. If caught, Thanos would be facing a life sentence. As we close Thanos' chapter, intimidation, drug possession, and low-level assaults, but things escalated fast. He racked up 10 years for possession, 5 years for drug distribution, 1 year for intimidation, 6 months for 2 assaults, and another 3 months for following Myung-gi into the bathroom. But the biggest hit? A life sentence for attempted murder after he tried to strangle Myung-gi in cold blood. In total, Thanos is looking at over 16 years plus a life sentence, but the courtroom doors are still open because someone else is about to face justice. Captain Park. Captain Park doesn't waste time with threats. He jumps straight to violence. While on the boat, he finds one of his own men, someone working with him and Junho, and without hesitation, kills him. No reason, no warning, just pure cruelty.
그냥 보기만 했어. 내가 봤어. 아이씨, 좀 자. 뭐야, 자!
Killing someone without cause, especially your own crewmate, that's murder, no question about it. And the law treats it with the seriousness it deserves. If caught, Captain Park would be facing a life sentence for murder. This was all for Squid Game villains. If you want to see more baddies go to jail, click the video on screen now.